The rejection email came in at 6:42 a.m. Thank you for your interest, but after reviewing your background, we've decided to move forward with other candidates. It was the 9th one that month. I stared at the screen in my tiny kitchen, coffee growing cold in my hand, trying to figure out what I was doing wrong. My resume was solid. I had a master's degree in business administration, 2 internships, and 3 glowing references from professors who swore I'd land a management job within months of graduating. But every interview followed the same strange pattern. They'd love me during the interview. They'd say things like, "You're exactly the kind of candidate we're looking for." Then 2 days later, rejection. Something didn't add up. I refreshed my inbox again, hoping maybe another company had replied overnight. Instead, there was only silence and that same familiar knot tightening in my stomach. Before I go further, take a second to subscribe and drop your city and local time in the comments. If this story already feels a little too real. My name is Lauren Hayes. I'm 28 years old. And at the time this happened, I had just moved back to my hometown outside Denver, Colorado after finishing grad school. Moving home wasn't part of the plan. But my parents insisted. Stay with us for a few months, my mom had said. Save money while you job hunt. At first, it seemed reasonable. My parents had always been protective, maybe a little overbearing, but they'd supported me through college and grad school. Moving back felt like a temporary reset before real life started. 3 months later, I was still unemployed. My days had turned into a depressing routine. Wake up, apply for jobs, rewrite my resume, practice interview answers in the bathroom mirror, then wait. And every time the phone rang with an unknown number, my heart would jump because, maybe, just maybe, this was finally the call that changed everything. Except it never was. One afternoon, after my 7th rejection that week, I asked my dad a question I'd been avoiding. Do you think something's wrong with my applications? He barely looked up from the TV. Companies are picky these days, he said. You just have to keep trying. My mom chimed in from the kitchen. Maybe aim a little lower, honey. You're applying for jobs that are ambitious. Ambitious. That word stuck with me. Because the jobs I was applying for weren't outrageous. Entry-level management positions. Marketing assistant roles. Nothing crazy. Yet every single company was quietly backing away from me after interviews that had gone perfectly. Then, one Tuesday afternoon, a hiring manager accidentally told me the truth. And the moment I heard the words, criminal background issue, my entire world tilted sideways. Because I had never been arrested in my life. Not once. Which meant only one thing. Somebody was lying about me. And it would take me 3 more weeks to discover that the calls ruining my career were coming from inside my own house. The first time someone said it out loud, I thought I had misheard. It was a Thursday afternoon. I had misheard. And I was sitting in my car outside of marketing. And I was sitting in my car outside of marketing. After what? Firm in downtown Denver after what? Of my life. I thought had been the best interview of my life. A woman named Melissa. The hiring manager had walked me all the way to the lobby smiling. Had walked me all the way to the lobby smiling. Your experience is exactly what we're looking for. Your experience is exactly what we're looking for. I just need to complete the reference and background checks. I just need to complete the reference and background checks. 2 hours later, my phone rang. 2 hours later, my phone rang. Her voice sounded different this time. Careful. Her voice sounded different this time. Careful. Lauren, almost she said slowly. There's Lauren. Something I need clarification on. Something I need clarification on. Of course, my stomach tightened. There was a pause on the line. I said. We received a call from someone identifying herself as your mother. We received a call from someone identifying herself as your mother. She mentioned you had a criminal history that might show up. She mentioned you had a criminal history that might show up. For a moment I genuinely thought it was a joke. For a moment I genuinely thought it was a joke. What? I'm sorry. She said you had been involved in a financial fraud investigation during college. She said she felt obligated to warn us. She said she felt obligated to warn us. I've never even had a parking ticket, I said. I've never even had a parking ticket, Melissa replied gently. I believe you. But when a family member calls with something that's serious, companies tend to step back. Companies tend to. The call ended a minute later. I sat in my car staring at the dashboard. I sat in my car staring at the dashboard. So hard it made my ears ring. While my heart pounded so hard it made my ears ring. Not a scammer. My mother had called not a mistake. Not a scammer. My mother. Not a mistake. That night I went home and tried to act normal at dinner. That night I went home and tried to act normal at dinner. Mom was stirring spaghetti sauce in the kitchen. Mom was stirring spaghetti sauce in the kitchen. I'd grown up in. The same quiet suburban house I'd grown up in. The same people who had helped me pack for college. The same people who had helped me pack for college. The same parents who told everyone I was the smart one. The same parents who told everyone I was the smart one. I watched my mom sprinkle Parmesan. I watched my mom sprinkle Parmesan and wondered. Cheese onto a bowl of pasta and wondered. How the same woman could pick up a phone and tell strangers. But I didn't confront her. Her daughter was a criminal. Not yet. But I didn't confront her. Because one phone call could still be a misunderstanding. Because one phone call could still be a misunderstanding that came out wrong. Maybe she'd said something that came out wrong. Maybe
next
Melissa
day,
misunderstood.
I ran a little experiment.
So the next day,
I applied
ran
for
a little
another
experiment
job.
I
This
applied
time
for
a
another
project coordinator
job. This
Role
time
at
a logistics company
coordinator
across town.
Role at a
The
logistics
interview
company
went well.
across town.
3 days
The
later, the
interview went
recruiter
well.
called. 3
Her
days
tone was
later, the
polite,
recruiter
but
called.
distant.
Her tone was
Lauren,
polite,
she
but
said,
distant.
"We've received
Lauren,
some concerning
she said,
information
"We've
regarding your
received some
background."
concerning information
I closed my
regarding your
eyes.
background.
Let me guess.
I closed
said
my
quietly.
eyes.
Let me
Someone
guess.
claiming
I
to
said
be my
quietly.
parent called you.
Someone
The
claiming to be
silence on
my
the
parent
line
called
confirmed
you.
everything.
The silence
By
on
the
the
time
line
I hung up the
confirmed
phone,
everything.
the
By the
truth had
time I
settled
hung up
into
the
my
phone,
chest like a block
the
of
truth
ice.
had settled into my
This
chest
wasn't
like
an
a block of
accident.
ice.
It wasn't
This
a
wasn't an
misunderstanding.
accident.
Someone
It
had
wasn't
been
a
sabotaging
misunderstanding.
every job I applied
Someone
for.
had been sabotaging
And somehow,
every job I applied
my
for.
parents knew exactly
And
where to
somehow,
call.
second
My
recruiter
parents knew
confirmed it.
exactly where to
I
call.
stopped pretending it was a misunderstanding. Someone was calling the companies that interviewed me and telling them I had a criminal record. And somehow, that person always knew exactly where to call. There was only one way that could be happening. They had access to my applications. That night, I sat on my bed with my laptop open, staring at the job tracking spreadsheet I'd been keeping for months. Every application, every interview, every contact email. And suddenly something obvious hit me. I had been filling out those applications at the kitchen table, in front of my parents. Every single time. My stomach twisted. Still, I needed proof before accusing anyone. So the next morning, I created a fake opportunity. I told my parents over breakfast that I had an interview lined up with a company called Northbridge Consulting. I described the job, the salary, even the office location downtown. None of it was real. There was no Northbridge Consulting. I watched their reactions carefully. My dad barely looked up from his coffee. But my mom paused for half a second too long before smiling. "Well, that's exciting," she said. That afternoon, I created a new email account and bought a cheap prepaid phone. Then I did something that felt ridiculous at the time. I left the phone on the kitchen counter with the voicemail set to answer as Northbridge Consulting Human Resources. And then I waited. 22 hours later, the phone rang. I was in my bedroom when it happened. My heart started racing the second I saw the unknown number flashing on the screen. I didn't answer. I let it go to voicemail. 30 seconds later, the notification appeared. One new message. My hands were shaking as I pressed play. At first there was just the sound of someone breathing. Then a familiar voice. My mother's voice. "Hello, yes? My name is Diane Hayes," she said nervously. "I'm calling about Lauren Hayes. She recently applied for a position with your company." My chest tightened. "I just feel it's my responsibility to let you know that my daughter has a history of dishonesty," she continued. "There was an incident in college involving stolen money and some legal trouble. It never officially made it to court, but employers deserve to know." I felt like the air had been sucked out of the room. My own mother was calmly inventing a criminal history about me. Then she said something that made it even worse. "She's very good at pretending everything is fine," my mom added. "But she's not ready for a professional environment." The voicemail ended with her politely thanking the imaginary HR department for their time. I sat there in silence, staring at the phone in my hand. There it was. Proof. Not a rumor. Not a misunderstanding. My mother had been deliberately destroying every job opportunity one had. And the worst part was? When I walked downstairs 10 minutes later, she was sitting on the couch smiling at me like nothing had happened. I didn't confront her that night. Not because I was scared. Because I wanted to understand why. For the next 2 days, I acted exactly the same. I ate dinner with my parents, watched TV with them in the evenings, and even thanked my mom when she made coffee in the morning. All while the voicemail sat on my phone like a loaded weapon. Saturday afternoon, I finally asked the question that had been burning inside my chest. "Mom," I said casually from the kitchen table, "do you think I should keep applying to jobs in other cities too?" She looked up quickly. "Other cities?" she repeated. "Yeah," I said. "There's a marketing firm in Seattle that reached out yesterday. The salary's actually really good." For a split second, something dark flashed across her face. Then it disappeared. "Well, that seems a little far," she said carefully. "You just moved back home." "I wouldn't stay forever," I replied. "Just until I get experience." She didn't answer right away. Instead, she wiped her hands on a dish towel and sat down across from me. "You know," she said slowly, "sometimes people rush into things they're not ready for." My stomach tightened. "Not ready for what?" I asked. "For independence," she said. The word hung in the air between us. Then she sighed and leaned forward slightly. "Lauren, your father and I sacrificed a lot to raise you. We paid for your college. We supported you when things were difficult." "I know that," I said quietly. "So the least you can do," she continued, "is not abandon us the second you get a decent paycheck." And suddenly everything made horrible sense. The job interviews. The phone calls. The lies. If I got a real job, I'd move out. And if I moved out, they'd lose control. I stood up slowly. Mom, I said, my voice steady, I need you to listen to something. She frowned. I opened the voicemail on my phone and pressed play. Her own voice filled the kitchen. Hello, my name is Diane Hayes. I'm calling about Lauren Hayes. The color drained from her face. She froze halfway through standing up. The recording continued. There was an incident involving stolen money. Employers deserve to know. By the time the message ended, the room was completely silent. My dad had walked in from the living room and was staring at her in disbelief. My mom's mouth opened, but no words came out. Finally, she whispered, Lauren. I can explain. I shook my head. No, I said calmly. You already did. Then I picked up my keys, my laptop bag, and the one suitcase I had packed the night before. As I walked toward the door, my dad called after me. Lauren, where are you going? I paused just long enough to answer. To the job interview I finally scheduled, I said. Then I opened the front door and stepped outside. And for the first time in months, my future actually felt like it belonged to me.